Folks, it's my coach used to say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
Welcome to the Kyle Olson Show. We have a packed program for you today. Joining me now to kick things off is Erin, Director of Press Communications for the Trump campaign. Erin, thanks for being here today. I first want to ask you about the unilateral changes by the Commission on Presidential Debates. They said the next debate, scheduled for Tuesday, would be virtual, which in my opinion is not a debate, it's a forum. But what's the campaign's response to that?
President Trump has been very clear. He has no interest whatsoever in doing a virtual debate because that's not a real debate. And you're right. And the Presidential Debate Commission came out and made a unilateral decision without telling the campaign. We found out through reporter inquiries and news stories that were breaking that the Debate Commission had decided to unilaterally change the format for the debate. We hadn't agreed upon that, and we wouldn't have agreed upon that. There's a lot of back and forth right now. The president will be cleared by his doctors if he remains on the trajectory he is on for recovery, that he will be good by the weekend to be back out there. And so we know that the president can do this in person. We know we can put safety and health precautions in place to do this in person. And so for them to put their hand on the scale to support Joe Biden instead of being the quote-unquote nonpartisan organization they are is really disappointing because it puts the American people at a disadvantage when they don't get to see this contrast of ideas.
Well, and what's the commission's response been? Because if you look at the debate between Vice President Mike Pence and Kamala Harris this week, they were 12 feet apart. There were two panes of glass. It seemed to me that they were following the CDC and the various protocols. Why can't that be done as well in the following two debates, if that's even necessary? But what has the commission said since then?
The commission so far has said that they are only willing to do this as a virtual debate, which is truly a non-starter for us. And you're right. They have put precautions in place, and even medical experts were saying that the plexiglass wasn't going to do anything. That it wasn't necessary. And so they aren't following the science here. If they were actually doing what they said they would do, which is follow the science, they would allow for this to be an in-person debate. They would allow for this to happen, but they're refusing to because they don't want to see Joe Biden lose again. They don't want to see Joe Biden be humiliated again by President Trump, who has the facts, the experience, and is unafraid to put Joe Biden to task on his 47 years of failure.
Well, and based on Joe Biden's track record, what would the commission do to ensure he's not using a teleprompter?
That's right. That's a question for the debate commission, right? They make these unilateral decisions, don't tell us how, why, or what they would do to make it a safe and fair process, because we do know that Joe Biden uses teleprompters. We do know that Joe Biden uses notes and answers from his staff during interviews. We know this as a fact. And so for them to not allow for this to be a fair debate process is really what they're saying when they're saying they want this to be virtual and for the candidates to be remote. It gives Joe Biden, and this goes back to why the president was pushing for Joe Biden to have his ears checked for listening devices, because we want to know that he's not trying to cheat. We know that he has had help in interviews before, and we want this to be a fair process.
So the president has said he will not participate in the next debate. Is there another event that he's working on?
Yes, the president has said that he would like to hold a rally. I don't have any announcements yet on timing or anything along those lines as of this point, but I can tell you as soon as the president can be safely out there, you will see him going full bore on the campaign trail. Right now, he's about to kick off he's going to do a Rush Limbaugh rally today, a virtual radio rally. As one of the things he's doing today, we have the vice president out, we have the family out, so we're full bore on this campaign, but I can guarantee you, as soon as he can, the president will be out there, because if he had a choice, he would be out there already.
Mm-hmm. And he's working hard. There was, prior to contracting the virus, there was a day he was in 4 different states, when Joe Biden is calling a lid. The contrast in energy and enthusiasm, to me, could not be more clear. But let's change the subject. So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Thursday brought up the 25th Amendment, obviously attempting to claim President Trump is unfit to serve. In response to this, I posted on Twitter 10 videos of Pelosi acting bizarrely. which we have all probably seen. It seems to me that there should be an evaluation of the House Speaker. What's your response to her statements about the 25th Amendment?
Listen, I know that Nancy Pelosi abdicated her role as Speaker of the House a long time ago to the squad. She gave them the reins, and now she is letting them dictate chaos. She is trying to use the 25th Amendment to weaponize it against the President of the United States. She couldn't make the Mueller report work. She couldn't make the Russian hoax work because it wasn't true. The impeachment sham was a waste of taxpayer dollars and time. And so time and again, not only has she tried to undermine the legitimacy of the 2016 election, she has tried to overthrow the President of the United States. Any attempts by Nancy Pelosi to use the 25th Amendment against the President of the United States is an attempted coup. She is bitter, she is out of touch, and she does not know what she is talking about. And listen, people should celebrate in some fashion the fact that Nancy Pelosi is the first woman Speaker of the House. That is something notable. And the fact that she's done it twice, also something notable. But she is ruining anything she has ever accomplished whatsoever by being a bitter, bitter woman who is full of Trump derangement syndrome. She has lost her ever-loving mind.
The president seems to be doing well across the battleground states, including Michigan, where I am. What's your closing argument to voters in places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, et cetera?
Yeah, the closing argument is promises made, promises kept. When you look at the 47 months of success of President Trump, bringing jobs back to Michigan, protecting jobs, making sure America has a better future than it does right now. Most Americans agree, 56% say they're better off now than they were 4 years ago. And that's because of President Trump. And you see the 47 years of failure under Joe Biden. You see what absolute devastation that meant. Joe Biden normalizing trade relations with Michigan, with China, took away 92,000 jobs in Michigan. And his support of NAFTA took away 44,000 jobs in Michigan. And you know what? He says USMCA was a better deal now, even after Kamala Harris voted against it. And they want to do away with the Trump tax cuts. You know what that means? Putting our business tax rate higher than communist China. It's clear what their priorities are. It's not the people of Michigan. It's not this country. It's themselves and other countries. And it's a dangerous thing to see.
In the closing days of the campaign, obviously, I'm guessing areas of focus, that list is getting shorter. But where do you see the president trending in the right direction? Where do you see him, really sort of putting that emphasis and that focus in the last days of the campaign?
Well, you'll see our focus and the focus of the campaign in the get out the vote effort, right? We're at 25 days to Election Day, and that means all of those voter contacts. We have made over 100 million voter contacts. We knocked 2.5 million doors last week and made 6 million phone calls. We are flushing the voters out now. We want them to either send their absentee ballot in or make sure they're ready to go on Election Day. And Election Day, most of our voters are probably going to show up then. So we want to make sure they're ready to go so that we know. So you will see us in the battleground states getting voters ready to go turn out.
And see, that's interesting because we have heard for years that the Democrats are better at the ground game. They're better at registering voters. They're better at turning out the vote. All of that, in those in-person contacts and all of that. The Biden campaign finally last week said that they're going to do door-to-door, which in a place like Michigan, New Hampshire, where retail politics, meeting the candidate and all of that is big. It seems to me that the Biden campaign is way behind the Trump campaign when it comes to that. And then, of course, you look at the voter registrations, whether it's in Pennsylvania or it's Florida or Arizona. The Trump campaign, it just seems to me, is outworking the Biden campaign.
I mean, we are, right? And that's the thing. Joe Biden's so hung up in fear-mongering that he said, oh, the science says I can't go to Wisconsin and accept the nomination. And the science says I can't knock doors. The science hasn't changed. What's changed is the fact that Joe Biden knows he has a get-out-the-vote problem. He has a turnout problem, and that people don't want to either mail in their ballot or show up on Election Day for him because they don't really care for him.
So it seems like things are trending in the right direction for the president, and so I wish you well, and I think that the president's going to do well if people turn out to vote. So Erin Perrine, Director of Press Communications for the Trump campaign, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
This is the Kyle Olson Show. We'll be right back.